Kathleen reminded me that when she was in here for music stuff that I'm saying too many things and not being just clear and concise with what it was. So like using both of those to be like, "Hey, we're being quiet now, and if we're not quiet, we're gonna step out of the room."
Right. Yeah.
And so that helps slow things down.
Good. Yeah. So we want to just talk about the lesson and go back into like getting just into the nuts and bolts of that.
Yeah.
Because what I really liked about the lesson was how you had them come up with their own strategies.
Yeah.
You know, like instead of just giving them the language, you know, just said this was, I think it was the double pair, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, this is the situation, and what do you see? You know, and then they were able to kind of name some of the strategies, and you know, so I feel like that constructionist approach to learning is really good because then they'll have a chance to, you know, internalize.
Yeah, because they figured it out, and them talking through it together really helps them to understand. It's like when we were talking in the meeting the other day, and Amanda was like, "All right, so how do we give lessons on these different strategies?" And what I've been doing a lot, I think, has been helping, is that constructive style of just like having them retrace their steps. It's like, all right, cool, you got this answer. How did you get that? Oh, well, I multiplied. What did you multiply? What it is? Why?
Right.
And then why?
Are they able to
and they're able to start piecing that together. No, they're at first like, "Oh no, Mr. Chris, what are you talking about?" Like, "Oh, what did we do? You guys did it.
Right,
You got the right answer. Now, how did we do it?
Right.
What did you do there? All right, now what's the one step behind that? What was one step before that?" And that's been helping.
Yeah. And so you've been asking them those inquiry questions. I remember at one point you said, you know, what are some important words we want to know?
Yeah.
Right. And this, and you know, there was a couple child that got it, and some of them ended up circling, you know, and underlining things that they needed to reread. And then you talked about how the children actually figured it out, you know. So I think there was a couple of different students who were able to share strategies, drew some pictures, and, you know, did some variables. How well do you think they ended up understanding that lesson in general?
I think a good amount of them understood, especially the importance of reading it multiple times, because that's something that I've seen carry over in later problems of the week. And for a few of them, then like I would say maybe about half of them really held on to the looking at what the question is asking and doing something to it. But that's been something that in follow-up lessons, it's reminding, like, what's the question asking? Let's underline that. Let's underline that at least. But it's hard to really tell because so many of the problems of the week are like so different as they're going through. So it's kind of hard to see, like, all right, did they pull strategy in that? Or are they feeling overwhelmed? But I would say overall, from the first problems of the week and when that lesson happened to how they're doing now with them, they seem to be less intimidated to step into it.
So they're definitely getting the strategy piece down?
Yeah, and so because at first they didn't know what to do with all those things, and now it seems like they at least are able to start to navigate it. They're not just like going to run away from the water, like, oh, I guess I could wade in a little.
What was the major mathematical concept you were teaching in this particular lesson?
In this lesson,
double ears, eight, what is it? 8 ears, 2 fleas.
Oh yeah,
the mathematical
one. Yes, that was talking a lot about multiplication and operations and pairing things, and breaking down, dissecting the operations.
I'd love to just for 1 minute say that there has to be a check-in with that situation that happened.
Yes.
Sophie does not want to talk about it. Ariel was actually not in the wrong, but he feels like he was speaking up for somebody that he got in trouble for.
Yeah, and I checked in with Ariel.
Okay.
I talked to him.
Right on.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Bye. Drive safe.
So, so multiplication. So we're looking at like the relationships of the pairs, and you know, and I think what we noticed, and probably why the conversation went even more into the management piece, was that there were some heavy lifters. Like there were some students who were like doing a lot of the thinking, and then other students. And I know we mentioned maybe popsicle sticks. I don't know if you've tried that.
Yeah.
But what do you think? What do you think you could do to, like, if you did the same lesson, like taught this particular concept, you know, maybe even with the word problem, maybe another. But what do you think you could do to get, you know, to get the most out of maximizing the learning?
Yeah, I think what I would do next time is noticing those heavy lifters, maybe have them gather in a group, small group first, and introduce the word problem to them, and then have them basically each be a leader of another small group. So, because what they were doing during the big group lesson was talking and teaching through it anyways. So split the heavy hitters up with a smaller group around each of them to teach the concepts, and then as a team, then we all come back together, and then each team, not the heavy hitter, has a representative who kind of talks through their strategy of how they figured it out, and so we can see the different pieces that way. So kind of like small group, and those people who are strong being the leaders and kind of teaching the lessons themselves.
So if you're looking at like maybe groups of 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Okay, and what would you have them doing? Like what roles? Let's look at like, let's delve into like the actual concept. So say we have, they're trying to figure out that there's 8 ears and 2 fleas, and how many fleas are there altogether?
Yeah.
What exactly would be your intro to that? Would you have them doing different problems, the same variation, and what would
maybe
be your
it would be,
entry point to?
I think that would have each group probably doing the same problem, and then maybe each person in the group, so we'd have the reader, like an illustrator, like a note taker, and then like a leader.
Okay.
So then you have the reader who reads the question, and when somebody else asks a question, then they read the whole question again, and so you emphasize that reading and reading and reading the question to find the different things in it. And the illustrator is going to help to draw the picture out, so where you can see that as a way to solve the problem. And the note taker is writing down the different math that everybody's talking about, and the leader is helping to keep them all calm.
Okay, yeah, and so I love these different roles. I know we talked about the defender as well. I mean, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Those different roles for that. And then I was thinking about the actual standard would probably be like 5.0a when you're looking at the relationship between multiplication, so that they're able to see that 3 times 5 is the same, necessarily just throwing it out there, that it was 5 times 3, and they're able to see that more abstractly. I'm wondering about their rigor, their ability to kind of delve into being able to do it fluently, kind of forward and backward, utilizing the variables for that. Are there certain strategies that you can think of that would have them,
go
really,
deeper, really digging it? And maybe that would be something that we had talked about in the meeting, but making their own word problems from it, and maybe
from the same
same kind of thing. Like, here's a concept. Girls, can you wait a second? Thank you.
Okay.
So basically they see that they solve their problem, and they realize what they had to do and strategy they used to do it, and now create a word problem that uses those same kind of things, but it's a different problem. So instead of dogs and fleas, like what's a different scenario? Maybe that's in your own life that you guys can talk about, or what's something that happened in the classroom that you would need to solve a problem the same kind of way.
Okay, I like that, because that seems like it would be high leverage, and you'd have a way to kind of exit them out of, that's kind of like
so then that's the exit ticket. So cool. Now once you guys make your word problem, then you're good to go.
Okay, that sounds good. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see it. How do you feel about me coming by again? I could even come and plan with you.
That'd be awesome.
And do that. So maybe the beginning of the week, and then.
I'd love to get that.
When we come back.
Like that first day, like kind of. Get started with it.
Yeah.
That would be
I know you guys have the Upper Elm meeting lunch on Monday.
I mean, we could. Would you be down to talk over email over the break? And then we can just be set up, and because I like giving the problems a week on Monday, and to kind of be able to do it this way. Starting off, I think would be a helpful way to, and we just talk over email a little bit to have a game plan for what it looks like.
Yeah, I can definitely give you a call Tuesday. I'll call you Tuesday at 11.
Cool.
We'll do that, and then I'll come in Monday. You want to try and do it Monday?
Yeah.
Maybe 9:30.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get right into it. Cool. Sweet. Oh, we don't have school on Monday.
Oh,
for the break. We have it
what
on.
time do we come back?
We come back on Tuesday.
Oh, okay. So do you want to make that Tuesday
Yeah, let's do
then?
it on Tuesday.
9:30?
Yep.
Okay. So a week from that Tuesday.
Cool. And then, do you have any?
Let me call you a little bit earlier. Let's make that Tuesday 9 a.m.
The Tuesday before.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, that works. I'll be on the East Coast, I think,
So we
but that works for
12
me.
o'clock your time.
Yeah.
Okay. What were you gonna say?
Tuesday the